What if the true reason older men are stepping away from relationships has nothing to do with what women believe it does? Because right now, something truly unprecedented is unfolding. Men over 60 are choosing solitude not as a backup option, but as their first choice. And the reasons behind it might surprise you. If you're a man in your senior years, what I'm about to share will likely resonate deeply, perhaps even uncomfortably, because it will validate feelings you've kept buried for decades. This shift didn't start with heartbreak. It began with a shattered illusion. For most of their lives, senior men believed in a straightforward formula: work hard, provide well, love deeply, and you'll be valued. But somewhere between their 30s and their 60s, that formula stopped adding up. They began to notice something rarely spoken about. The more they gave, the less it seemed to matter. The more they sacrificed, the more it was expected. The more they showed up, the more invisible they became. And then one day, they stopped. Not loudly, not with declarations. They simply stopped caring. But here's what women often don't understand. These men didn't stop caring because they're cold or heartless. They stopped because they finally learned something essential. Caring too much comes at too high a cost. Let me explain. Senior men have spent 40, 50, sometimes even 60 years being the strong one, the provider, the fixer, the emotional anchor. They've held families together, built careers from nothing, and endured storms that would break most people. But here's the truth. No one ever acknowledged who was holding them up. Most men reached their 60s and realized the answer was no one. They held themselves up, and they're exhausted. Not physically worn out, but emotionally drained. Tired of being needed but never truly seen. Valued for what they do, not for who they are. Appreciated when they're useful, ignored when they're not. So they made a decision. They chose to stop performing. And the moment they stopped performing, they discovered something unexpected: peace. Younger men chase excitement. Middle-aged men chase stability. But senior men have uncovered something far more valuable: peace of mind. After decades of navigating emotional minefields, relationship expectations, and constant pressure to measure up, senior men found solitude. And within that solitude, they found clarity. No arguments over nothing. No guilt trips. No passive-aggressive silences. No emotional manipulation disguised as concern. Just peace. For the first time in decades, they wake up without dread. They go to sleep without tension. They spend their days doing what brings them joy, not what earns them approval. And once you've experienced that kind of freedom, going back feels like volunteering for prison. The modern dating equation simply doesn't balance out. Senior men look at today's relationships and see a transaction that no longer makes sense. They're expected to pursue, plan, pay, provide, protect, and perform. Meanwhile, many women believe their presence alone is enough of a contribution. This isn't bitterness, it's observation. A senior man has lived long enough to recognize when effort is mutual and when it's not. He's been in relationships where he gave 80% and received 20%. He's experienced partnerships where his needs were always secondary. And now, in his final decades, he's asking one simple question: why would I sign up for that again? More and more, the answer is that he wouldn't. They're not afraid of being alone. Society tells us loneliness is the worst possible fate. That dying alone is tragic. That senior years without a partner are empty years. Senior men are proving that's a lie. They're traveling, they're diving into hobbies, they're reconnecting with old friends. They're reading, creating, learning, and living life on their own terms. They've learned that being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. In fact, many realized their loneliest moments happened inside relationships, not outside them, sitting across from someone who doesn't truly see you, sharing a bed with someone who doesn't really know you, living with someone who takes you for granted. Esse é o verdadeiro motivo pelo qual os homens mais velhos estão se afastando dos relacionamentos. Não tiver nada a ver com o que as mulheres imaginam, porque neste exato momento, algo extraordinário está acontecendo. Homens com mais de 60 anos estão escolhendo a solidão não como um plano B, mas como sua primeira opção. E os motivos por trás disso podem te surpreender. Se você é um homem na terceira idade, o que vou dizer a seguir vai te tocar profundamente, de maneiras que podem parecer desconfortáveis, porque dá nome a emoções que você manteve enterradas por décadas. Essa mudança não começou com um coração partido, começou com uma ilusão despedaçada. Durante a maior parte de suas vidas, os homens mais velhos acreditaram em uma fórmula simples. Trabalhe duro, seja generoso